All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching. And of course, thanks for subscribing. We are back with FSD Supervised or Supervised FSD 12.3.4. And it's going to take it for a quick spin, a little bit of suburban driving, highway driving, see how it fares, see the consistency. We've done a few drives right now on camera. We've done a lot of drives off camera. We just want to see what the consistency in terms of behavior is, in terms of proximity and all that good stuff. So we'll just engage from the shoulder and go from here. Good job getting up to speed nowadays when you have a good mile an hour on the road. So that's great. Does a really good job of getting up to speed. And again, I just want to focus on the things that it's doing consistently well and some of the things that it's doing not so well. I think we've sort of beat those over the head in terms of proximity, but I also want to talk about the things that it's doing really well. So getting up to speed, auto offset has been really, really valuable now, especially on a lot of side streets in this northeast suburban area where the speed limit doesn't register. So you'll be on a road like this main road, which will be 40 miles an hour, and you'll wind up getting on a sort of a residential road, which will be a 25 mile an hour zone that's not necessarily posted. So the speed limit will still read 40, but the auto offset will read the conditions and say, hey, you know what, I'm going to stick more towards 25. So those are areas where it comes in really, really clutch, really, really valuable for scenarios like that. Again, prior to that, when it would say 50 miles an hour, it would go down a residential street at 50 miles an hour or go through a park at 50 miles an hour. So that's not a good thing, but auto offset has been coming in clutch for those types of scenarios. Went over the yellow, but I'm okay with that. It was a tight turn. I would rather it do that than get closer to one of these cars, so that's a good thing. And there were no curbs, so I'm happy to have it do that in those scenarios. Overall, it's been really consistent in terms of the things that it does, good or bad. And that's a great thing in terms of, hey, I don't have many regressions, but it's also a great thing in understanding that Tesla is really iterating very quickly. As I film this video, and probably by the time I put it out, probably by the end of day today, I'll probably get 12.3.5, which will be the next iteration with some additional changes and fixes. So I'm happy to see that there's not many regressions, which wasn't always the case with every version prior to version 12. And so it seems like they kind of cracked the code with this new structure in terms of how they have version 12 coded and a blend of neural nets and the AI, that they're able to iterate quickly and not introduce any major real regressions. We're going to make a right turn coming up, and it needs to be in the right lane. Hopefully let that car pass and then get into the right lane. Nice and easy, nice and smooth. Look at that. Let's get on those brakes though. Car's jumping in front of the other car. Great awareness here. Good strong braking, maybe a little bit too strong, but that's okay. Better safe than sorry. Plus, we get some good distance for the person behind us, so it wasn't like jamming them up and getting us into a rear collision situation. So that was good. Nice, smooth blend. Would have been even smoother if the car in front of that car hadn't jumped in at the last minute, but it did a great job handling that. Now, as I talk about FSD, it absolutely will drive better, or drives better right now, better than a lot of humans. But it also doesn't drive as good as some more humans, however, whatever that quantity winds up being, whatever that ratio winds up being. So it's very good. It's human-like. When I say it's human-like, it drives like lots of humans, okay? In certain instances, better than humans, but it also doesn't drive as good as the best humans. I'm talking about limo drivers. I'm talking about good bus drivers, right? Good people transporters, in terms of school buses, but in terms of like shuttle buses and the senior citizen, senior living transportation, which is supposed to be the best of the best because they're caring for, again, precious cargo, small kids, elderly people, things like that. But more importantly, when you think about the experience, you think about a limo driver, a high-end limo driver or Uber Black or whatever you want to call it. Those are the guys that are representative of the best drivers, the smoothest, most relaxing ride, following all the rules, making you feel at the utmost levels of comfort at all times. So it doesn't quite drive like that, but it is better than most drivers. So I'm gonna say that just to get that out of the way, because I see a lot of people putting that in the comments about how it's better than a lot of drivers. Yes, it is, but it has to be even better than it is right now. Okay. So really good job. Again, can't say it enough. This is amazing, earth-shattering, whatever you want to use to describe it. It's doing great, and very, very usable right now, akin to a human, which is great. Again, it just needs to be a little bit better, a little more refinement, a little more tweaking, a little more adjustments and fine-tuning, and it'll really, really, really be good. Okay, so think about a scenario where, you know, people who have elderly parents that need to be transported from one place to the other, in a world where you could send your car to pick them up and bring them back, right, or bring them to their destination, right? So as you're driving or riding in FSD right now, does it feel good enough to have your elderly parent behind the wheel, operating it, on the passenger seat, sitting in it, by themselves or with someone? That's kind of the measuring stick that we should be using in terms of the level of scrutiny we apply towards FSD and how good it is and how good it should be. But for those that think it's good enough and we're just like, hey, pencils down, we're done, then cool. But for those who don't feel comfortable with the kids or the elderly or disabled people in the car or behind the yoke or the wheel operating this, then those are the people we need to focus on in terms of getting that up to their level of comfort. We're in that same camp. Not kids. We will not use this with the kids in the car just yet. It needs to be a lot more predictable for us, a lot more comfortable for us in all scenarios or most scenarios, or a high degree of probability of scenarios where, hey, it's infallible. Not saying it couldn't get into an accident, not saying someone couldn't crash into it or do something stupid, but from what it needs to do, it needs to be rock solid all the way through. But don't get me wrong, still very good. Adults, no problem. We got a bunch of adults in the car. We'll show some of those videos soon. Get their reactions, not a problem. It's comfortable. We can take over at any point. It's awesome. Still needs to work on pothole avoidance mode because this is pretty bad. Even with Tesla's best suspension, well, I guess second best suspension in Model X, since I hear that Cybertruck is even better. But Cybertruck does not have FSD. It still needs work. We still need to be able to deal with potholes, or at least very obvious ones where the contrast is good enough for it to see. All right, so for those wondering also, because we're getting ready to jump on the highway, it seems as though highway is still on version 11. It's still using the version 11 logic or code or neural net or whatever it is they're using. It still seems to be version 11. And we know that because it starts to visualize things that version 12 doesn't, and specifically around cones, which are seen and visible there. Auto offset seems to go away when you get onto the highway. And those seem to be indicators that it's going back to the older version. So still very good. Highway version 11 was still very good, very, very capable. Loving the smooth lane changes and all that good stuff. But it needs the refinements that version 12 brings to bear with the latest release. So if we can get version 12 on the highway, that would be even better. But right now, again, still very usable, but you'll notice the difference between some of the things you see. First and foremost, the auto offset is gone, so it uses its own sort of 5-mile-an-hour offset or whatever offset you have pre-programmed, and you start to visualize things a little bit differently. And maybe sometimes it misses some exits every now and again, and that's, again, just inherent of version 11. Needs to get over to the right so I can take this exit up here. Right up here. There we go. Give me a good angle, please. Watch the proximity. Good job. Boom. And now we're going to get up to speed on highway. Now, I haven't tested, I didn't pay too much attention to highway on 12.3.4. So I'm interested to see if what I just said holds true, because 12.3.3 auto off. There we go. Okay, so it still holds true here. Auto offset just went off, so now it's doing its own offset of 6 miles an hour over, or whatever the case may be, and we no longer have auto offset, which is the indicator. And if we ride by any type of cone, you'll see those cones visualized in the screen, which is a tell for version 11, because version 12 got rid of those. Should definitely bring those back. Changing lanes by semi. Let's see what happens. Oh, good job. Felt a little nervous. I'm okay with that. That's a evasive safety maneuver. It felt a little bit odd getting so close to the truck, and decided to go back. No one was here, so we didn't endanger anybody, but it was sort of an evasive maneuver that it did there. So now it sees it's clear again. Now it's going to try to make that same lane change, and now it's clear. So that was really good. A scenario where it was a turn, amidst a turn, is trying to make a lane change. The truck obviously turns in, as you see it turning in closest to the left line when it turns, and it got a little too close for FSD, and it said, hey, you know what, I'm going to wait until this truck passes, get back to my other lane, and wait till that truck passes to complete the maneuver. That's the safest course of action. So I definitely like that type of thinking, as opposed to making it and the truck sways a little bit further and causes a little problem. So I like that proactive maneuver from FSD. Okay, you see the cones popping up here, cones popping up there. They're everywhere now, see? That's the indicator that we're on version 11 instead of version 12. I know I've said that like 500 times right now, but I'll let it go with that one. Good amount of traffic on a weekend. As I said, I'm expecting 12.3.5 imminently tonight or tomorrow or into the morning. But we're in 12.3.4. Good amount of traffic, good tell. Not completely barren, but a good amount. Now, one of the other things you'll see is how we lose the proximity issues when it comes to the lane lines with version 11, or we regress back to the good behavior of staying mostly center. We've not really had any issues. It's mostly center in the line. It's not hugging one side of the other too close, not going over the white lines. It has all the good behavior that version 12 needs to adopt. So give me everything of version 12 and give me the lane keeping, lane centering, and not going over these lines of version 11. And I think we got a winner. We got a really strong winner there. I think the only outstanding item, if you do that, would be lane selection. Lane selection for turns, and lane selection in terms of staging the lane selection, the correct lane at the right time. Gets over here, nice and smooth, little slowdown, speeds up again. Good job. Fun fact, this road the opposite way to the left is where I got into my first accident in my Tesla. It's a P85 back in the day, and it didn't have any blind spot monitoring system or sensors or anything like that. And someone came up with my blind spot and sort of sideswiped me when I was making a lane change. That they were making a lane change at the same time. I didn't see them. My mirrors were adjusted correctly, and they didn't care to see me or were looking at somewhere else. And it kind of sideswiped me. And I was really where, this would have came in handy, being able to see the side cameras. At the time, you only had the backup camera, didn't have the repeater cameras. So I really couldn't see. He couldn't see, and we got into a bad little accident there back in 2014. Pretty bad. And that was, my gripe to Elon. I was like, we have no blind spot indicators. We got to have something. I can also adjust the speed here too now because I'm in version 11. But that was every time I pass it, I get that flashback when I pass that road. That happened right there, and we didn't have blind spot monitoring, no warnings, no detection, no anything. It's pretty sad for me. Nobody was hurt, by the way, but the car was definitely damaged. There is a toy in the back. I don't know where it is. It's making that noise as we go over these openings in the road here. You might be able to pick it up on the microphone, might not be able to, but that's where it is, a toy that's rattling back there, and I can't quite find it. Might be under the armrest. Great job taking the turn. Now, this highway, aside from missing exits, the highway drive, that could be compared to some of the best drivers because it's just had so many years to be refined. And it right now, even though it's on the version 11 code base or whatever, is really, really relaxing. It really takes the stress away, especially in stop and go traffic. Really good. Slows down to let this truck pass, then gets into the correct lane. I keep trying to say right lane, but I'm going to try to say the correct lane to make it easier to distinguish. Excellent job. Would love for this to be hands off from on ramp to off ramp, and then you get the nag when you get back to city streets for now. And then ultimately we'll have completely hands free, but at least for now, conditional hands free on the highway would be phenomenal. As you see, I didn't really do much myself here on this particular drive, but once it switches back to version 12, I'm sure I'll get lots of nags. A little bit over the line. I'm okay with that. It needs to be in this lane to go straight. Not going to nitpick. A little bit indecisive there like it normally does. This is version 12. Auto offset is back. Version 12 is back because it was indecisive as to which lane it needed to be in. Version 11 staged it the correct way, and then version 12 said, maybe I should be in this lane. Oh, wait a minute, let me see. Oh, this lane is turning. Let me go back into this lane. So that's the thing that we need to get rid of for version 12. It needs to commit and go to the lane that it knows it needs to be in. But that was super, super smooth, super comfortable. I would give that a 10. The evasive maneuver, just the riding, just the smooth lane changes, getting into where it needed to get into. I didn't have to worry at all for anything, obviously, except for the evasive maneuver, the reasoning behind that. But the fact that it got us safely from on-ramp to off-ramp so smoothly, that could deserve a 10. I'm not saying I'm giving it a 10, but that could be worthy of a 10, at least in this drive. There is a train car. I don't know if you guys can't see it, but or maybe you can. Train car right there. It's visualizing it as a semi. That's pretty cool. Would love for them to actually visualize trains, especially if they're passing or as they cross. Just give the train crossing and trains passing a little bit more fidelity that the car understands what they are and recognizes them. Hopefully that'll happen at some point in time. It doesn't have to happen now. It's not critical right now, but at some point, it'd be nice. Good job not going over the yellow line, waiting for this guy. Excellent job. The other thing I think I noticed for version 12 is a little bit too much friction braking and not enough regen braking. So the braking becomes a little bit more harsh than it was in version 11. Version 11 definitely leverages the regen braking for the most buttery smooth braking experience. But version 12 seems to get a little bit too much friction brake. So it's not as comfortable as version 11 in certain scenarios. Gotta find that toy. Needs to change lanes because it can't, has to go straight. That indecisiveness, then it gets over, no turn signal. Should have that turn signal on. That's not really a nitpick, that's a safety thing. If someone is coming behind us and we don't see our turn signal and we just veer over, that could cause a situation. So I think that's safety related more than anything else, more than preferential. If it staged it before it got to the division of the lanes, then maybe not. But because it got into one of the turning lane and then crossed over the dash line, that to me is the indicator of a turn signal. Just to be able to clearly communicate to other cars. This was a better job. Got over a little earlier, so that was good. So far, very relaxing. Very super comfortable, super confidence inspiring, great decision making, obviously minus the turn signal. And overall, just a really relaxing drive. Again, better than most humans, I will say that. And I think Tesla needs the data to prove that, which is why they've just lowered the price of FSD, because a lot of people's trials are running out and they're losing that data. So they're trying to entice people to buy it. I think the sweet spot is first of all, I think the sweet spot is $5,000, $3,000 to $5,000, and I think that needs to be a license held to the account of the owner and to be applied to any one vehicle that they choose in perpetuity, whatever. As long as they buy Teslas, should not go away, should not expire. They can transfer it unlimited amount of times. If they're subscribing to it, $99 is a good value, and people just can subscribe and continue to subscribe to whatever vehicle they have, no problem. And for anyone who bought, $15,000, $12,000, $8,000 FSD, they should definitely have a license tied to the account owner indefinitely. Does not expire, does not go away in 4 years, 5 years, whatever. It's not tied to some Tesla milestone for the quarter. Just get it done. Whenever you're ready to upgrade, you paid your $5,000, you're an early adopter, then we need to get, you have the privilege of transferring your perk indefinitely. That's one thing where Tesla falls short for me is that owner loyalty. Being able to transfer things like unlimited free supercharging or, FSD, whatever it is, those perks just don't get to stay with the people. They transfer with the car, but they don't value it with the car either. So that's not great. Tesla needs to do a better job of owner loyalty. Remember the people who've made the sacrifices to get them to where they are today. Every quarter, whenever it was, whatever they did, making sure that that's being accounted for. Especially repeat buyers that keep coming back at critical moments in Tesla's history. It's a little odd. Oh, super close. That was very close. I can't put a camera outside because it won't stick. The mount won't stick for me, but very close. Doesn't look that close, but trust me, it is close. Tried to do the mount a couple times. It kept falling off. Broke one of the cameras. So I just kind of gave up on it. Maybe I'll try to put one on top so you can see. Or maybe put one on the window higher up that looks down at the curb. Or maybe just do a drone follow. I don't know. I'll try something at some point, but very close. All right. At my destination here, I'm going to take over. And my trip. There we go. All right, guys. That's going to be it for today's drive. Quick drive. Again, like I said, we're supposed to be getting version 12.3.5 any minute now. So I'm looking out for that. But let me know what you thought about this drive today. Okay? I'm going to rate this one just based on how I felt in the car. It's completely subjective, but based on how I felt in the car. Right? So in terms of comfort, I'm going to give it a 9. Maybe even a 9.5. It was really, 9.5. Really, really comfortable drive. Moments of no traffic, moments of light traffic, moments of medium traffic. Handled it all gracefully, really well, really comfortable. I probably could fall asleep even if I was so inclined, but no, I wouldn't fall asleep for this just yet. But very comfortable is what I'm trying to say. Confidence, I'm going to give it a 9. And it did everything with the utmost confidence. Waiting, hesitating, evasive maneuvers, all that great stuff. Decision making, I'm also going to give it a 9, minus it not putting the turn signal on. So we'll give it a 9. And then in terms of safety, I felt super safe. And I felt even more safe when I saw that the truck was kind of turning at the same time as us. And we were trying to make a lane change on a bend or a turn, if you will, on the highway. And the truck was making this, was coming up next to us. So I felt comfortable and even more safe because it made an evasive maneuver and told me, the operator, hey, I don't feel comfortable making this maneuver with this truck swaying and turning and coming up on this lane. Let me wait, go back to my lane, wait, and then make the maneuver when it's safe. That gives me confidence. That makes me feel super safe that the car is recognizing everything around it. So that was really good. So 9s across the board, 9.5 in terms of comfort because it's really comfortable. But really, really rock solid drive. Let me know what you thought in the comments. And until the next time, enjoy your day. Enjoy your Tesla.